Hey everybody, this is Josh. I've been getting a lot of questions about the gear that I use when I record and how I get the sounds that I get, you know, what my guitar is, the different pedals and stuff, the sound effects, just all the equipment in general. So I figured I'd go ahead and do a video breakdown about what I use, how I record, and how I have it set up, and hopefully you guys dig it. So here we go. Get ready for the gear. Okay, so for the gear, I'm going to start with the guitar itself because it's always more fun talking about the guitars. Now, what I use is the Jackson Kelly right here. Just a simple black, you know, shiny finish. Although it does have some wear and tear from pretty much all of my carelessness before I had a stand. It's my own fault, but yes, if you look at the pickups and everything, those of you will probably cut fun at me and say, oh wow, he's using stock pickups, he sucks. I'm poor, that's why I have stock pickups. And but the Jacksons come with really good stock pickups. I mean, the CS1s and CS2 in there really have a pretty solid sound to them. I have the bridge pickup higher than the neck pickup, so I can get that, so I can get a little bit closer to the strings when I'm doing my rhythm runs and stuff like that. And then I have this a little bit lower, so it kind of widens the frequency of the note ring out when I'm doing solos and stuff. So it kind of gives it that fluttery, almost that really clean sound. Now, everything in this is pretty much stock, other than the neck. The neck is, well, it is a stock neck, but I've had work done to it. It's a 24 fret scalp job done on it. And for those of you who, you know, who do like neoclassical shit, you know, some of you guys like, you know, fans of like Richard Blackmore and, you know, Yngwie Malmsteen. Even Alexi Lio of Children of Bodom has his 12 to I want to say 12 to like 22 or something like that scalloped. But I did it because of the vibrato effects it gives you, and the just the level of control it gives you over the string. No, it does not make you play faster. For those of you who are curious, the scallops actually make it harder to play fast because there's no wood under your fingers. There's no bolster, and if you're a really hard, if you really dig in, you know, you'll be able to hear it. Like, you know, you don't just play like a regular G, you know, you're just going like that. But if you really dig in and it sharpens the note, and if you play with light gauge strings with a scalloped fretboard, then oh shit, it takes a lot of control and a lot of practice. So that's that. The strings that I don't use any balls. I use Dunlop heavy cores, the heaviest gauge you can possibly get. I use them because these never break, and and with a scallop fretboard, it gives you the opportunities to dig in without really getting that sharpened sound, so that that allows you to focus more on playing rather than making sure you're not, you know, bending the note because of the scallop. So it does, you know, affect your action a little bit. I mean, it's going to be harder to play, of course. If you have your strings you go, the more it's harder to press down. On top of that, I play with extremely high action. It's just the way I prefer it. Yeah, the scallop job, you know, if you get it done professionally, it's going to cost you around $300, $400 because, you know, they're going to have to they're going to tell you they're going to have to refret, they're going to have to redo your inlays, they're going to have to redo everything, you know. On top of that, it's, you know, you can go to frickin' Lowe's or Home Depot and get yourself a frickin' Dremel and do it yourself. That's what I did, but that's after rigorous studying about how scalloping is done. So, I mean, it takes a lot more than just dremeling out your fretboard and, you know, saying that you're ready to go. So I scalloped it myself. It was about 13 hours. And then I took and ordered some custom inlays, which I got the Gothic red crosses, which are pretty cool. They're just stickers, you know, which is cool because if they, you know, they with it being scalloped and your finger not making contact with the fretboard, they last a hell of a lot longer, and on top of that, they look cool. And you know, they're inexpensive, so if you got to buy more, like I said, I'm poor, so you know I can't afford all this extra shit. So I mean, if you have to buy another set, you can. It's not like, you know, it's like $7 to $10 for an entire set of 24. Now, yes, I'm sure you guys are probably noticing that these two fret markers down here, I left them alone. I don't know why. I just decided not to put any of the Gothic crosses on. I figured leaving it like that was cool. Makes it kind of unique. But that's my guitar. This is what I use. This is what you're hearing on all my songs. So, for those of you who think that the gear is everything, it's not. It's really how you play it and how you set it up. So anyway, that's the guitar. Okay, so I'm going to try and adequately explain this to you. It's the recording gear. Basically, I don't have a camera. I'm using my webcam on my computer, so I'm going to try and take the laptop around and show you how I have the gear set up. Yeah, so here we go. Let's try it out. Let's see what happens. Worst case scenario is crashes and burns. So here we go. Let's do this. Take it around like this. Here we have my shelf here. Here's my little table. Anyway, okay. So, yeah. So if you're seeing this, that's my metal muff, my speaker with my Stingray on it, and a cup. So that's that. Now that is also where my strings are. But yeah, that's my distortion metal muff. If you guys have one, I'm sure you guys understand just how awesome it is. If you don't like it, you know, it's personal preference. You know, some pedals just aren't for everybody. But the guitar runs through that, and that runs down here. Now, right here, I don't have a rack, so basically I'm stuck using a TV stand that I finagled into into kind of like a rack setting. It's still pretty nifty. But let's get a little bit closer look here. Basically, I'm running it into a tube preamp here, which is a PreSonus tube preamp, and I have it run through into the back here. If I pull this little, it's metal, it's solid too, it's really cool. If I take it off and show you, check this out. As you can see, it runs into the back there. I have my guitar going right into where it says instrument, and then for my output, I have an XLR. And I run that XLR, which is I want to say it's a 4-foot monster cable, and that runs right into the left, the in one on my my audio box here, but we'll get to that in a second. I'm going to plug in the preamp real quick. Now, the one drawback that I have found to the tube preamp is that it does not have a power switch. And for something that is, you know, that is electrical like that, and that, you know, you have to plug in to use, it doesn't make sense to me why I should unplug it from the actual back and have a power switch. But anyway, it's cool. If you get a little closer look here, as you can see, I have my pad and my whatever that 0 with the slash through it means, knocked out for my sound, and then the VU meter here glows a nice little blue. If you look over the top, you can see that the tube glows. It's tube powered, so it after all is a tube preamp. So that's that. It's pretty cool. It does have phantom power, and if you're gonna use a mic for a cabinet, like if you're gonna you know, do it the traditional recording way, I would go with that tube preamp. You can run it direct into the audio box. The audio box itself, it does have a 48 volt phantom power as well, but it's gonna suck a lot of juice out of the audio box itself, and your sound's gonna end up coming out a little weak, and you won't understand why. You'll be like, well, fuck, this thing's got, you know, phantom power. Why is my, you know, why is my metal sound, you know, why does it's not there? Tube preamp eliminates that completely. Since it's plugged into the wall, you know, it is powered by a electrical source, then, you know, you just fucking pop in your, you would plug in your mic wherever you want to. You could plug it in the audio box and then run the phantom power with your tube preamp, and then you'll get that tube sound plus your mic sound, which will be pretty cool. Now, going down here to the audio box. The audio box is awesome. I was introduced to PreSonus kind of by accident, because I was originally going to pick up the Line 6 pod, because I wanted something with a that was a direct-in interface, and but at the same time could give me amp simulation. And I wasn't aware that that PreSonus came with, you know, Studio One, and then it came with, you know, the Ampire XT, and you know, that allows you to do your own amp building as well, which is pretty sweet. Albeit it's not it's not near the craftsmanship of the pod form program, which pretty much gives you you know, everything as far as, you know, it gives you Marshalls, it gives you freaking gives you Mesas, it gives you, you know, it gives you everything, you all the amps you could ever want, you know, Fender, Line 6, of course, Line 6 amps are in a Line 6 product, that's to be expected, but pedal-wise too, the pedals that they give you on the Pod Farm are just immense. I mean, we're talking every single pedal that's ever been released is pretty much on there. I heard that, you know, that this isn't a Line 6 pod review, so I'm not even going to waste your time. But regardless, but back to the audio box here. But it comes with Studio One, which is a cool program that allows you to record. But it also gives you the VST plugins to build tones and stuff, like and you know, and do your own kind of pre-mastering before you export your tracks and stuff, and throw it into whatever mastering bus you're going to use to, you know, get your final product. Studio One is a pretty good. It's a pretty good user interface. I'll probably do a review, a tone review, and I'll introduce Studio One in there after using the tube preamp with the audio box, which I got the audio box, and I had the audio box a few weeks before I got the tube preamp, and you could get some cool tones, but if you really want to go for that fat tube sound, definitely get the tube preamp to go with it. I mean, and they work well together. They're made by the same company. But I have the XLR cable running into channel 1 here, and pretty much you have two here that you can use. Now you can use both. Like you can have, like if you're doing, like, oh damn, I keep hitting that. If you're gonna mic your cabinet, you can do it like you know, multiple mics and stuff like that. But you're gonna have to have one of your channels running. Now what's cool about this? Now let me show you. Is it's not only XLR, but it's also 1/4 inch. You can put you can plug directly in with 1/4 inch. You do not have to get an XLR cable. I recommend XLR cables simply because the quality that you get from an XLR cable is incredible. On top of that, your noise is going to be lessened. You won't suffer as much, you know, background bullshit that you're dealing with like 1/4 inch cables. Yeah, so I use XLR for that, and then I run the audio box USB straight to the laptop. But since we're using a webcam on the laptop, I can't show you that. I'll include pictures at the end of the video so that you guys can see the actual studio in its entirety of what I do, how I have it set up when I'm recording and stuff like that. That way it gives you a little better idea of the scope. But let's move on from that. So that's the audio box. And then at the back of the audio box is a headphones jack, which I use my Sennheiser headphones to, if I want to do it quietly. But what I usually do is I'll have the output from my Sony 5.1 system here. I'll have that, which as you can see, there's the as a 10-inch sub. I run that into the back of the headphones position of the audio box, and it allows me to use the 5.1 system as a monitor, so that I can hear what I'm playing as I'm playing it. And since it's USB bus powered, the audio box down there below, your direct in and stuff, there's no latency at all. So you know, if you're used to using Audacity, like I'm sure there's a lot of you guys are out there, you're like, fuck man, you know, I use Audacity because it's free and I can download it from the internet. Audacity is good. It's a good starting platform. I used it for a long time, and well, hell, some of my first recordings I just recorded from that into a little simple mic on a laptop, you know. But Audacity had a very big latency problem. And it's because I wasn't using a DAW or recording interface like like the audio box, or you can get, there's so many different kinds out there that you can get that you can build your gear that way. But going up here, I have my speakers, which we'll start with the left here, my left, and then I have my center with my crab. Don't make fun of my crab. And then my right, don't make fun of my Stingray either. And then over there, my keyboard and acoustic and prototype 2 guy. But this is really cool because it allows you to use. You can even go up to Walmart and grab like a $30, simple, $30 set of desktop speakers and stuff like that. Now, no, it won't sound that great, but if you want like a monitor, like if you don't want to be plugged into headphones the entire time, and you want to kind of get a feel for how it's going to sound when it's played on a radio, like a boombox, or like even a system like this, when it's played back, because a lot of people will hear how it's played, and it'll come out of the headphones, cool, and you're like, yeah, it's fucking heavy, it's got that punch, it's got that bass, and you're like headbanging to it. But as soon as you play it out of a like a big sound system, a big quality sound system, and then you can hear all the shit that you couldn't hear, if your treble's too high, or if there's too many mids in there, or if your bass is lacking, or if there's too much bass and it's drowning out everything else. A good set of headphones and a good monitor system. I got this from a good buddy of mine, my buddy Sean. If he ever watches this video, I appreciate it, buddy. Hope you're enjoying the amp that I sold you. A 200 watt sound system like this. I had a 120 watt guitar amp. I figure, if I'm using the amp simulation on Studio One and I run in as a monitor out of this Sony, it's going to sound pretty powerful. It's going to sound pretty big, especially with the the multiple speakers and whatnot. So, and I was not disappointed. But for those of you that can't get your hands on something like this right away, I would definitely invest in some kind of desktop speakers. Even if you spend $100 on something, even if you get you some Logitechs or something like that. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with desktop speakers and all that shit, but it's definitely worth it to have some kind of monitor system so that you can tell the difference between headphones and your speakers. Because if you can't get that to sync up, if it sounds different on headphones than it does when you play it on a big speaker system, then then somewhere in your mastering is a flaw, and then that'll show you that you need to go back and you need to rearrange some of your EQs, or touch up on some of your your compressors, and bring out a little bit more of the other elements of your music. And it's also down to just personal preference, what you want to listen to, what you want to hear. So that's pretty much that is the rig right there that you're seeing. Very simple, very straightforward. I spent maybe on just the tube preamp, the audio box, and my pedal, probably close to $450. So, which $450 is how much most recording program softwares cost. Like you got fucking Pro Tools and some of the other shit like that. And so now we're gonna go on to the final words on the gear and everything.
Alright, I just want to thank everybody for watching the video. I'm sorry it was so long. I tend to ramble sometimes. But I hope that this gear overview, I'm not a popular guitarist as far as, I'm not famous or nothing like that. I've maybe encountered, good, few hundred people and stuff on the internet that have seen my music and stuff like that. So, but I just hope that I can help some of you out there develop strategies and build, some kind of system that works for you, because this is what works for me. If you listen to my songs and like them, then you like that kind of sound and stuff, and maybe some of these strategies can be employed to help you, develop your recording, start out recording and stuff like that. Of course, a couple of terms and stuff that I use throughout the video I may have gotten wrong. I mean, this is just, this is all stuff from just personal experience. Um, but you know, if you have any feedback, you could leave me any kind of tips or anything. If you guys are, some of the people out there who watch this might be really into the recording industry and stuff like that, and really understand how everything works. If you guys can offer me tips and stuff, I'll take them. I love all kinds of feedback, good or bad. And rock out. I'm gonna post some pictures of the actual studio and stuff. It's not like a studio setting. It's my bedroom, but studio's a studio no matter where. So hope you guys dig it. I'm gonna put a full track with it. Hope you guys dig the track. And from this point on, keep on rocking and peace out.